Good morning. How's the volume in the back? Good? Jan, I want to thank you for inviting me back. Jan has been my liaison for at least a decade, maybe longer, coming here, and I love coming back here. I love the spirit of the place, and I love the inquisitiveness of you parishioners. And if there's others, a committee or whatever, I just don't know, that was part of inviting me back, I want to acknowledge them as well. Always the committee. You may already be familiar with the very popular new series called simply Matlock, starring Kathy Bates on Prime. She plays a 75-year-old lawyer who has not practiced law for 30 years, but wants to for reasons that soon become apparent in the first episode, which I'm not going to tell you because I want you to have the experience yourself. Her full name is Maddie Matlock, based on a fictional lawyer that ran successfully as a series for many years. Now, to achieve her ends, she finds an easy way to break through the tight security of a particular law firm on Fifth Avenue. When she enters the meeting room filled with attorneys and assistants, she introduces herself to all of them and states that she's not looking to be interviewed, but to be offered a position, despite her years of inactivity as a lawyer. When they ask her how she was able so easily to break into the firm's inner sanctum, she tells them simply, "I'm old. We're invisible to others, so I can enter wherever I wish. I won't spoil the intrigues that grow directly from her aging. Yet she has a keen and quick mind that catches on to things instantly, or almost. She fabricates a life that is believable and untrue, but it serves her ends for a particular category of people who have been violated. At 75, she has felt a call to serve others and has responded to it with all of the energy and enthusiasm that she can muster. She has responded to the call of her soul, a summons, as one psychologist has described it. I like that idea, that all of us are summoned, and I don't think once, but many times in our life. What is it the soul wants of Maddie Matlock? Throughout our lives, we are called, and I love that you brought in Joseph Campbell. The reading was just perfect. I think we're called to a task, to a purpose, to a meaning, to a coherence. That is what a personal myth contains. A calling to a coherent life of purpose through the limits and the gifts we have found within ourselves. Now, while I seem to be speaking of the elderly, and I guess I am, what unfolds in this brief reflection, I think, applies to earlier ages as well. But in older age, what characteristics define our unique character seems to be underscored with a very thick magic marker. I think the overarching form of our lives takes on sharper definitions as we age. But it's an ongoing process or adventure from even before we've reached a consciousness of our true identity. Not one that has been assigned to us. That's so important. Some stop there from early age on and resign themselves to an assigned role that they may never truly believe in, or to put much integrity towards. So let's entertain some questions that I have been thinking on since I turned 80 on October 12th, just over a month ago. And these I continue to reflect on, and I wanted to share them with you. In whatever time seems appropriate, we should give a life review some consideration. You don't have to wait till you're 80. There we might ask, for instance, what sections of our life have we shirked responsibility for? What wounds do we carry from childhood or even infancy that still insist on having a voice in our narrative? Perhaps 10, 20, 30, or more years later. For the soul does not pay much attention to technology, to chronology. It pays a lot of attention to technology. Its focus, though, is more on living a life that has meaning, purpose, and for many, is in service to others. So we might ask, what is it you serve now, at whatever age you are? What is it that you serve now? And from that, what would you like to be serving? Beyond serving yourself and your loved ones, which can give you a great sense of meaning. And I want to suggest perhaps a larger story. Is there something or even someone pushing up from beneath the floorboards of consciousness that is both insistent and sincere? Has something happened recently, or a memory that has returned unbidden from long ago that has brought on such a reflection? What choices were made in your life by others, but that you preferred to call them your own? Who do you blame, if blame is present, for your current condition? Do you imagine ways to change that condition because it is not fulfilling your purpose or your sense of identity? Who do you applaud with gratitude for your current condition? Who do you salute for your current condition? Who or what has stepped into your life to serve you towards your ends that have become more transparent now, at whatever age you are? Are there qualities that are positive and affirming, that instead of consciously identifying them as part of your quality of life, you project them onto the external world? In other words, those moments when we take the best of who we are and put it out in the world and say, look at what a great world it is, and dismiss it in yourself. That's a big one for me. By what I just asked, I mean the following. Some of our best qualities we might not have the courage to own. Say a feeling of heroism, and not in an egocentric way, or a heroic attitude that affirms you, so you turn them outward and project the heroic onto others or another. I think we can disown some of the best qualities that comprise us by shuffling them off to the world and to deny them in ourselves. Might there be something you have not been ready to be responsible for, but feel that perhaps now you are. I think we grow into those moments. They're not given. We grow into them. This felt sense can descend on us or arise from within us when we are 15, 25, 50, and all ages in between. Some know at an early age, at 6 or 7, what their destiny is. Who has been the biggest problem or irritant in your life up to now? What has been the biggest problem or irritant in your life up to now? Can you point to one thing, situation, person, or occasion that no longer matters to you, or no longer upsets you or throws you off your game? Where in your life now do you find new energy, something being renewed that has not been there for a long time or perhaps never was? To renew is to re-know. That is, to know it again. That's what renewal implicates. If you will agree that perhaps most often we live in narratives, some of our creation, some dictated to us, then where might my tiny story, a story that has become enfeebled, yearn for a larger, grander narrative to fill in? If we can shift to assumptions that we hold about life, and assumptions are just really squirrely things in the psyche, is there one you can point to that is being challenged at this stage of your life? Here's an example. I cannot do X. I never could and will probably never be able to. That is what a self-condemning prophecy sounds like, based on an assumption. In your spiritual life, where do you feel stuck? Inactive, believing and thinking out of habit rather than out of a conviction that your spiritual life has deep importance for you and needs nurturing in order to grow. Spiritual suffering has been described as the loss of one's understanding of the world and how it operates. May I repeat that one? Spiritual suffering has been described as the loss of one's understanding of the world and how it operates. It leaves one feeling bewildered. This suffering can shake the foundations of what we profess to believe. Ask this: at whatever stage of life you are currently inhabiting, who is in charge? Who's calling the shots? The culture at large? A prickly emotion that you wrestle with controlling or moderating? Past wounds or current ones? Something still unrealized in you, some plans, some ideals, some fantasies of what might be, but you have yet to act on any of these yearnings. Now, all of these are directed to me, and I'm sharing them with you. Finally, how are you in later life handling limitations in memory, activity, things you have enjoyed doing? And are you finding reasonable substitutes Are you accepting them as part of your plot's larger arc? In all of the above, we are talking about the myth you live in and that lives within you. It's both ways. Our personal myth is entangled in all of the above questions. Our myth grounds us in a tangle of values, beliefs, prejudices, likes and dislikes, fantasies and fables, stories that belittle us, and stories that enlarge us. The task of each of us, to the best of our abilities, is to become more conscious each day of the pressures, the agendas, the limitations that impede our becoming more fully the character that we are, and that the world needs for its own desires of completeness and fullness. And I'm suggesting there that the world needs us to complete itself. So it almost feels like a moral responsibility for each of us to contribute our own genius so the world can fulfill itself more honestly. Thank you for being willing to listen to areas of our lives that are important for feeling the person you are in all your original goodness. And I'd like to end with this poem that I wrote as I prepared this talk. And it's entitled simply, Somehow. Somehow, each day rises out of the dark morning sky. Somehow, I start my day early because something beckons me to join. Somehow, without any help from me, days gather into weeks that fill out into months, and somehow another year has paused, then passed. I notice it in my early morning reflection in the mirror that somehow all my years gather in my face. The wrinkles, the changing visage of midlife grows into character. So you can look in the mirror and say, this isn't a bad thing. This is a character I'm looking back at. Somehow I am learning to accept it all. For someone, somehow, continues to see me with clear vision. Somehow that simple thread of life weaves itself through the years. I think it's a thread of purpose and joy. I want to know somehow that if I thread it through each hour of each day, all will be forgiven. And not as an aside, this same thread leads me each day somehow to wonder.